Here to react is Committee to Unleash Prosperity co-founder Steve Moore. Steve, it's great to see you. You know, when I saw this little clip by the president on the gold card, I actually thought of you because you seem like the kind of guy with a creative enough sensibility to maybe get into this a little bit. What's your first reaction to it?
Well, it's funny, Brian, because it is something I've gone back 30 years. So it's a very famous professor at the University of Ohio named Richard Vedder who put this idea out in the Wall Street Journal many years ago. And I like the idea. Now, I know what the opponents are going to say. They're going to say, oh, these rich people are buying their way past the Statue of Liberty and so on. But, you know, we have Donald Trump has said this many times, Brian, and he's so right. The most valuable asset in the world is an American passport. I wouldn't give up mine for anything. I don't know about you. And so the idea is sell it to the highest bidder, and those people are going to come in, and they're likely to have a lot of money to create jobs, to create businesses here. And incidentally, I still think we should have a legal immigration system that allows, you know, people to come in and wait their turn. But this is a way for job creators to come in right away, and I think it's a fantastic. I don't know. What do you think, Brian?
Well, that's why I thought. I mean, that's why I thought of Steve Moore, because it's like it's creative. It's not the same old stuff. And I love Richard Vedder. He was a fantastic professor, a great thinker. I'm so glad you mentioned his name.
He's still teaching, believe it or not, after all these years. But you're right. He's a fantastic guy.
No, I just went, no, because we're asking the questions.
That's true. You can't turn the tables like
I'm just joking.
Yeah, that's right.
Steve, what is at risk if Congress does not act quickly to pass the Trump, extend or make permanent, which is being talked about in the Senate, make permanent the Trump tax cuts? It is the biggest tax increase in American history. But dig down at the damage it would do to the American family.
Well, Dagan, in about half an hour or so, and it might have already started already, the House will have a huge debate on whether to pass that budget resolution that includes the tax cut. Now, my view on this is exactly parallel to what you just said, Dagan. Republicans shouldn't say this is this giant tax cut. No, what they're actually doing is heading off the biggest tax increase in the history of the United States. Right. We're talking about a $4.5 trillion tax increase on every American business, on every American family. The average family would pay $3,000 a year more in taxes. And I'll bet you, Dagan, that every single Democrat tonight, when they have that House vote, which is coming up very soon, I bet every single Democrat, except maybe one or two, is going to vote for the biggest tax increase ever. So they got to explain that one. How's that going to help the economy?
But, you know, and Dagan's the one who's been on this most about the permanency or lack thereof of, you know, extending the tax cuts. And I do just think that really matters, Steve. And I don't think that's part of what the House is contemplating here. I think the Senate maybe is. We just talked to Senator Johnson about that. How big of a deal is that to you?
Well, yeah, I'd love to see it made permanent. It's a great policy. It worked. That's the other thing. We've had this in place for, what, 5 or 6 years now. We have the evidence. Every indicator shows that it worked. It created jobs. It brought a lot of capital in the United States. Revenues actually are higher today than they predicted if we hadn't done the tax cut. So there's no rational argument against this. I did watch about a half an hour ago, because the debate did start on the House floor, and every single Democrat, I must have listened to 12 of them in a row, said the same thing. Oh, you're cutting taxes for rich people and cutting Medicaid. Well, no, they're not cutting Medicaid. They're cutting Medicaid fraud, which is over $100 billion a year. And this is a tax cut for everybody. So it's not a tax cut for the rich. It's basically a tax plan that helped everyone, including we've got like 40 million small businesses in this country, as you know. You guys know. Every one of them received a tax cut as well.
Yeah, it doubled the standard deduction.
Yep.
The biggest tax cut in percentage terms went to a middle-class family. They can lie all they want. I'm surprised they haven't, these left-wing nuts haven't spontaneously combusted. To get your reaction to this, the New York Times, there was an opinion piece by 7 former IRS commissioners saying that Trump just fired 6,700 IRS workers in the middle of tax season. Big mistake, huge mistake. Why are they wrong?
Well, since when did the left turn in love with the IRS? I mean, come on, this is the most abusive agency. I mean, they make the FBI look mild in comparison. You know, I went through a 5-year audit from the IRS. They looked through every single document of my house. I mean, it was the most unbelievable. It was like having a proctology exam. And by the way, at the end of the day, they said, oh, whoops, we owe you money. You don't owe us money. But the point is, anybody who's been in tax court or been in an engagement with the IRS, you are, in America, this never else happens. You are guilty, Dagan, until you prove yourself innocent when you're under an IRS exam. So we don't need another 50,000 IRS agents. What we need is a simple, flat tax that somebody could fill out in 10 minutes. So simple, we could cut the number of IRS agents by 90%. You got to get Steve Forbes on the show, and he can explain it to you better than I can.
Oh, he's a familiar face. I even know that on this show. Steve Moore, it was fun to interview you and be interviewed by you. You should come back again soon.
Well, Brian, you're one of the smartest economic minds at Fox Business News, and that's saying a lot. So come on. I mean,
I'm very susceptible to flattery.
Let's raise a lot of money. Let's raise a lot of money from these visas and pay off some of the debt.
Could be a lot of money. Okay. Thank you, Steve. Good to see you.
Yep.
Thanks, Steve.
See you guys.